So kind of what I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about today is I really wanted you to be able to take something away from my talk and actually potentially use it in clinic, in your life. So Biodesign, how to pay off your student loans like really, really fast. So what I want you guys to take away is that Biodesign is something that everyone can be a part of as a medical student because of how much you're involved in the clinic. You kind of become the expert to us as engineers, and it's something you should definitely leverage in your future. So how can you get involved, and then what are the main kind of steps that you need to be aware of from a legal standpoint to make sure that you can kind of get paid? It's always a nice thing. So something I want to share first. So Denver Post, this was about 4 years ago. University of Colorado reached $30 million in a new Botox treatment for incontinence. What I'll point out is that 25% of the revenue was distributed to a graduate of our master's program. About $8 million to a student who's about 26 years old. That's kind of a nice payout. So I mean, that makes that $400,000 in student loans look small really, really fast. So how can you get involved in this major money-making process? So, like I said, it's a process. Biodesign is a very kind of long and translational thing, and it's kind of broken down into what's called the Stanford Biodesign process. Sort of follows needs finding, concept generation, strategy and development. That's like a lot of business stuff. You really don't need to know any of that. But really, how do you guys get involved? So one of the biggest things is, how do you come up with an idea for a design? And the way that we were taught is when you're, picture this. You're in OMS-III, 4, maybe 5, didn't know that was the thing. And you're sitting in the OR and you're like, wow, whatever they're doing, this is like really annoying. This is taking a really long time, or I'm having to stand here holding these retractors. Like, I can already tell my C7 is rotated left. Those are the best opportunities to think, I wonder if there's a better way to do this. And kind of how do you go about thinking of an idea and really bringing that to fruition is you make a lab notebook. So I always carry just like a little notebook in my white coat. I'm sure most people do. But the biggest thing now, kind of transitioning to a legal standpoint, if you're going to move this to like an invention per se, is you need to use a bound notebook, and this is all for legal purposes, and you need to sign and date every page. And the main reason that is because when you go to someone to file your patent, copyright, that kind of thing, the United States is really actually great, and the US Patent Office grants patents on a first to invent basis, not a first to file. Which means that as part of that process, if you can prove that you had this idea first, they will grant a patent to you, even if someone from Pfizer is like, oh, I have $400 million of backing. So that's kind of part of the thing that the legal team will figure out, but really important that if you're going to write an idea out, that you sign and date every page. The other thing that always kind of surprised me is that if you do have this idea, I have 2 patents out of my program, which was great, but I presented one of them at a conference as like a concept generation idea, and when I took it to our tech transfer office, they were like, well, you've presented this, it's in the public domain now, so it's no longer novel. Something I was kind of like, that's rude. But kind of a way that you can avoid screwing yourself over potentially. So main takeaways is to keep a lab notebook, sign and date every single page. And then the last step kind of from there is to get in touch with your tech transfer office, which I'm assuming most people aren't familiar with the tech transfer office here. So what a tech transfer office does is they're the people who takes your idea either as a student or as a faculty, anything like that, and takes it through the US Patent Office and through all those channels. Most major universities and hospital systems will have this. Some of the smaller universities, not so much. But even if you're rotating at an institution and you have an idea, you can bring it to their tech transfer office. And really what they do is they provide legal work to protect your intellectual property, which is always nice. They cover your upfront costs. So the nice thing about tech transfer is if you have this idea and they like it too, they'll fully fund your idea in exchange for partial ownership. They'll also connect you with people to help develop your product, like engineers like myself. and they'll take care of any like patent or copyright work, and they'll help you market your product to investors, which is really great. So my kind of last note is inventing is easy, let others just do the hard work for you. As a medical student and a physician, you are the expert, and engineers like myself will always go to you for your advice. So that's all I have for everybody.